that supposed to be voted on, or is that something, I know there was a whole news article and everything, are we just kind of, what's going on with that? Because the way it sounded here was that it was voted on, but I don't think we were really supposed to vote on it.
It was an information item online. Dr. Chesney spoke.
Okay.
There was a vote taken, but because it's not tremendous in nature, meaning if they left all the schools open, we don't have enough money to do that. Because it was not tremendous in nature and not put on the agenda, it was a null and void act. So it was put in the minutes as an erroneous vote, and
Okay. All right. All right.
Any other questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. At this time, public comment on agenda items only. Seeing none. Communications, Dr. Bosnick, do we have anything?
No, just that our single audit report from June 30th from the Florida North is available for review.
But which one can you see that?
They can come to the business office on the
it's on our
floor.
district.
Whole thing? Okay. Great, thank you. And I don't believe we have any committee reports. Number 8, the following items are being presented for the board's consideration with action to be taken as noted. Go to the ground, Mr. Holt.
Mellon Elementary has another one of the collection in their initiative to keep Fayette County Green, Mellon has selected the most recyclable in 2024 with a total of 53.95.
I would just like to add to that, Mr. Holt, all of this is voluntary, by Chris Sepul's mom, Mrs. Gallagher. She's not here this evening, but that is a very big push for us. These jobs, to recycle materials, and they collected over 10 tons more than anyone else in the county. So that's huge.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Mr. Hagan, and because you did how many million cans or something?
Yeah, frankly, that was considered. This is,
Oh, okay.
garbage, collection for recycling.
The recycling bin.
Yes.
Thank you. My education, Mr. Meadows, do you have anything? Thank you, Mr. Meadows. Finance and technology, Mr. Rittenhouse.
Thanks, Gary. I recommend approval of the following financial statements for December 2024. The general fund treasury report, the budget and revenue report.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Question on the motion? Okay. Could you use the mic, Mr. Rittenhouse?
There's some crying.
This will work. I recommend approval of payroll for January 2025.
Second. We didn't vote on one. Would you please read number 1 again?
I recommend approval of the following financial statements for December 2024, the general fund treasury report, budget and revenue report.
Second. Motion and second. Question on the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
Recommend approval of payroll for January 2025.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Question on the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion passed.
Recommend approval for the payment of the following bills, authorizing the directing officers of the board to issue vouchers for the same. The general fund regular account is $5,638,151.27. No activity. Construction $69.16. The federal funds are $121,252.39.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Question on the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Number 4 is two options for the tax collectors. The first option is to go to a flat rate per bill type of a payment, and the other is the way it's always been on a percentage-based resolution. So I'll make a motion I make a motion that we vote on attachment number 2 that was in our packet. That would be a flat rate. Whatever it was, I left my packet.
Not hearing a second. Motion fails.
Make a motion that we pass attachment number 3 of how the taxpayers are paid on the percentage basis.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Question on the motion. I have a question. Is Resolution D what they're getting right now? No change. It's the same. Okay, any other questions on the motion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Regula?
Yes.
Just to clarify, this is for the percentage. Mr. Cannon?
Yes.
Mr. Beanick?
Yes.
Mrs. Clay?
Yes.
Mr. Holt?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Meadows? Mr. Rittenhouse?
Yes.
And Mr. Dawson?
Yes.
Unanimous, 9.
Motion passes.
Gary, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Rittenhouse. Mr. Hall, personnel, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I recommend approval of the resignation of Stephen W. Sweeney as a full-time custodian assigned to second shift at Lafayette, effective 12/31/2024.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Question on the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
I recommend approval of an intermittent FMLA for employee number 100965, effective 12/10/2024.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Question on the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
I recommend approval of the resignation due to retirement of Sherry Trusky as an 11-month secretary at UHS, effective 3/28/2025, with 17 years of service.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Question on the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
I recommend approval to hire Melissa Abbott as a central office secretary, 13/31 hours per the terms and conditions set forth by the Service Employees International Union, Local 32 BJ CLC, effective 2/10/2025.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Question on the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
I recommend approval of an intermittent FMLA for employee number 100966, effective 12/10/2024.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Question on the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
I recommend approval of the resignation of Michelle Langorski as a substitute teacher at Franklin, effective 1/8/2025.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Question on the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Recommend approval of an intermittent FMLA for employee number 101479, effective 1/9/2025.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Question on the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Recommend approval to hire Paige Rinkoff as a 5.5-hour general cafeteria worker at Benjamin Franklin effective 1/6/2025 per the terms and conditions set forth by the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, District Council 84, AFL-CIO.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Question on the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. Mr. Gould, do you have any policy procedure for?
I have nothing to report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Gould. Mrs. Clay, student activity.
Yes. Recommend approval of the following individuals to serve as volunteer coaches for the A.J. McMullen track season as recommended by Paul Jeffries. Clearances are already on file. Megan Best and Dawn Bell.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Question on the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Mrs. Clay. Mr. Beanie, safety, security, you have anything for us?
Nothing against time, Mr. President.
Thank you. Transportation, Mr. Tanner.
Thank you, Mr. President. Recommend approval to add the following individuals to the 2024-2025 drivers list. Dwayne Sollenberger, BDJ, Anthony Brunswick, M&R, William Colvin, Rittenhouse, Timothy Lucy, Spade.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Question on the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
I recommend approval of the resignation of Linda Mills as a Uniontown Area School District van driver effective 2/3/25.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Question on the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
That concludes my report.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Tanner. The intermediate one, Mr. Meadows, do you have anything for us? Okay, Mrs. Clay, Mr. Holt, or Mr. Hall, anything for CTI? PSBA, Mrs. Clay? Superintendent, remarks. Dr. Bosnick, do you have anything for us?
Mr. Dawson, I just wanted to acknowledge Mr. Mercandani. He worked hard to organize a great event that we had here on Friday for our 1925 championship basketball team, and also we honored our 1,000-point scorers. But just wanted to make sure that I thank Mr. Mercandani and all that helped organize that nice event.
Yeah, that was a great event. I'm very appreciative. Okay, so at this time, the 5-minute public comment.
I just was gonna see, I heard something at the start of the meeting about the vote that didn't happen as a vote last meeting. Could there be a little bit of clarification on that with regards, I think, to the 7th and 8th grade to the high school? That was, I heard Mr. Tanner talking about before the meeting started. I couldn't really hear before the meeting started, so.
Mr. Gehring, the vote that you just mentioned, the 7th and 8th grade not coming here to the high school, that vote did take place. That was a vote under education, Jackie? It was under education, and that vote indeed did happen at the last meeting. What didn't, and what Jackie mentioned was null and void, is Dr. Macheski did a presentation at the end of our last meeting. And after the presentation, it was obviously informational. The board, voted on that, but technically it wasn't a vote. So that's what the confusion was there.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
My name is Gina White, and I'm from Franklin Township. As you guys were mentioning, the tax collectors and the percentage that they collected, generation of technology, a lot of people are moving towards electronic payment anyway. And so I figured maybe that was something that maybe you could consider and saving almost $300,000 or more a year in regards to putting that back and reabsorbing that into our budget. I wasn't sure who that would, where that discussion would start. Is that here or is that with the county? I wasn't sure.
Mrs. White, I appreciate that suggestion, and that is something we will discuss. One thing that's of note, that anything that we do, any action we would take, it would be for a 4-year period. So that's something we'd also have to consider, but it is something we will take note of and discuss. Thank you.
I just think it would be useful for the future. That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Not seeing any other public comment at this time, could I get a motion and a second to adjourn?
Second?
I have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those, question on the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Meeting's adjourned. See you next month. Thank you.